Will Rogers, a comedian from the earliest 20th century, remarked that the United States had never broken a treaty with a foreign government and had never kept one with the Indians. Despite being oppressed by the United States for centuries, 150,000 Native Americans leapt to defend the United States in World War II. Not only did the Native Americans do their part, they went above and beyond any expectations. They made the biggest per capita contribution to defense than any other ethnic group. A third of all eligible Native Americans ended up fighting in World War II, and over 99% of the eligible natives registered for draft. If the entire U.S. population volunteered at the rate of the natives, the draft would be rendered useless. The natives who had been trained in combat their whole lives were great soldiers. Major Lee Gilstrap of Oklahoma, trainer of 2,000 natives, said, "The Indian is the best damn soldier in the army." The natives were extremely eager to serve, and when they were turned away, they were very disappointed. One man, who was rejected from the army because of his lack of teeth, protested, "I don't want to bite them, I just want to shoot them." While the natives were valuable warriors, possibly their greatest contribution was through code making. The United States was having trouble in the Pacific Theater making codes that the Japanese could not break. One officer knew a small portion of the Navajo language, but also knew how complicated it was. Only 30 people outside the Navajo tribe could speak it. This officer urged the United States to recruit a group of Navajo men to put together a code using the Navajo language. The code had two layers of defense. The Navajo language did not have a word for tank or dive bomber, so they were swapped for nature terms. So the Navajo word for turtle would mean tank, and the Navajo word for chicken would mean dive bomber. In the case that they needed to spell something, they assigned English words to letters, judging by the first letter of the English word. So ant would equal A. Then they would use the Navajo word for the English word. So the word WWII, which means ant, would mean A. These Navajo men transmitted messages in the heat of battle for the last few years of World War II. The Japanese never broke the code. After the war, these men could not speak about their great achievements because the operation was top secret. Even after the operation was declassified in 1968, it took more than 30 years for the code talkers to get recognition. Finally, in 2001, the men received their Congressional Medals of Honor. During the war, Native Americans did their part at home as well. Women took over jobs traditionally performed by men, like being mechanics, lumberjacks, farmers, and delivery workers. The Native Americans' land and natural resources were used by the government for many different uses. The government took minerals, lumber, and land to help the war effort. Navajo helium was used in the Manhattan Project during the development of the nuclear bomb. It was not until after the war that the natives were told that they would not be reimbursed for their contributions. But during the war, the Native Americans did buy over $50 million worth of war bonds. This constant flow of money was what funded the war effort. History will never forget the terrors and triumphs of World War II, and it should never forget the invaluable role that the Native Americans played in it.